The jungle was alive with strange sounds, chirps, growls, and whispers that didn't belong to any earth creature. Ethan Cross pushed through thick, glowing vines as sweat dripped from his forehead. His boots sank into the wet moss beneath him. Each step into the forbidden valley made the air feel heavier. He wasn't supposed to be here. No human was. But Ethan was never good at following rules. Ever since he read the old explorer logs, he had been obsessed with this place. The Valley of Voices, they called it. The local alien tribes warned that anyone who entered never returned. Some said ghosts lived here. Others believed ancient gods still whispered in the dark. Ethan didn't believe in gods. He believed in Cluzend. There were plenty. As he climbed over a crumbled stone wall, he froze.
Before him
stood massive ruins, carved into the cliffs. Spires reached into the sky, covered in vines and bioluminescent moss. Symbols, strange and ancient, covered every surface. Some glowed faintly, pulsing with hidden energy. He stepped closer and touched one of the glowing symbols. It felt cold and warm. A sharp pulse went through his hand. Suddenly, something moved behind him. He spun around fast, pulling his small plasma pistol. But it wasn't a beast. It was a girl, alien, but not monstrous. She had smooth, pale blue skin, long silver hair tied back with leather straps, and golden feline eyes that reflected the light. She wore tribal armor, light and flexible, made from beast hide and crystal shards. She held a spear pointed at him, her arms strong, her stance unafraid, but her expression utter shock. She whispered something in a strange language. Ethan didn't understand, but the words triggered something in his mind. His lips moved without thinking. He replied, not in English, not in any language he'd ever learned. But somehow, he understood her. She understood him. Her eyes widened. In fear, ... or awe. You speak the dead language of our ancestors, she gasped. Ethan stepped back, confused. What? I just said what came to mind. The alien girl didn't lower her weapon, but her body trembled slightly now. Only the high-blooded could speak those words. Only the chosen. She narrowed her eyes. What are you, human? Ethan raised both hands, showing he meant no harm. I'm just an explorer. I don't know what I said. I was just following the symbols. The girl didn't respond. Instead, she circled him slowly, studying every part of him. Her gaze stopped. At his arm, the one that touched the stone. It now had glowing marks on it, similar to the ones on the ruins. The ruins marked you, she whispered. It chose you. Ethan's heart pounded. This was no ordinary find. Something ancient had just connected with him. But what was it? Suddenly, a loud growl echoed through the valley. The girl's eyes snapped toward the shadows. She grabbed Ethan's arm. Move, now. No, wait. What was that? Ethan asked. She didn't answer. She dragged him toward a hidden path through the ruins. You touched the sacred script. You opened the eye. Now they will come. Who's they? The guardians of the gate. They ran through narrow, stone corridors. Vines reached like claws from the walls, and strange creatures blinked at them from the dark. At last, they reached a round chamber at the heart of the ruins. It was filled with symbols, and a single stone chair in the center. The girl stopped. Sit, she ordered. Why? Because the last one who sat there controlled the sky. Ethan laughed nervously. You think I'm some kind of chosen one? She didn't laugh. I think you are something dangerous, and my people will want you dead. Outside, the jungle shook again. The ground rumbled softly under their feet. Ethan looked at the chair, then at the girl. He sat, the symbols all around. The chamber lit up. The walls began to move. The stone chair lifted slightly, floating in the air. Oh no, the girl whispered. It really is you. The floating chair slowly lowered as the glow faded. Ethan sat still, eyes wide, heart racing. The symbols on his skin had cooled, but their presence still tingled like an echo in his blood. The alien girl stood in front of him, unmoving, unreadable. Then Without warning, she bent to one knee and placed her hand over her chest. I am Zalara of the Skyshade tribe. I ask forgiveness for pointing my weapon at one of the chosen. Ethan blinked. Wait, what? I'm not chosen? I don't even know what I said back there. Zalara rose, but her tone stayed serious. You spoke in the tongue of the first ones. Only our highest priests even dare study it. But you spoke it without trying, and the ruins responded. Ethan stood slowly. Maybe it was just some tech reacting to my DNA. Maybe humans share something with your ancestors. Zalara gave a bitter smile. My people will not care for your maybes. They fear the old stories. They believe the chosen will bring fire or salvation. Nothing in between. Before Ethan could ask more, a loud horn echoed through the valley. Zalara's eyes darkened. Too late. The guards followed us. They exited the ruin into the glowing. The twilight of the jungle, blue mist hung in the air, and the trees seemed to lean closer. Ahead, tall armored figures blocked the path. Skyshade warriors. Each one wore bone-carved helmets and held long, bladed staffs that hummed with energy. They stepped aside as an elder approached, cloaked in black feathers, eyes glowing faintly red. Zalara, child, why do you walk with a human? Zalara bowed her head but stood firm, because he spoke the dead language. Because the ruins answered him. The elder's expression didn't change, but a subtle ripple moved through the warriors behind him. And you believed him? The elder asked slowly. I saw it, she replied. He opened the eye of the ancients. Ethan tried to speak, but the elder raised a hand, and instantly he couldn't move his lips. His body froze. A strange force held him in place, like invisible chains. The elder circled Ethan, inspecting him like a cursed object. Many have tried to pretend, to imitate the ways of the first ones. Some even died for speaking forbidden sounds. But this one, his voice lowered. I feel it in my bones. He is dangerous. Zalara stepped between Ethan and the elder. Then should we not study him? Understand what he truly is? No, the elder said coldly. We take him to the Hollow. Let the seers look inside his soul. The Hollow was not a dungeon. It was far worse. Deep underground, carved into the bones of an ancient beast, the Hollow pulsed with a strange energy. Crystals grew out of the walls like teeth. The air felt alive. They chained Ethan inside a chamber glowing with red light. On the floor were more symbols, the same kind that had awakened when he spoke. But now they burned. The seers came. Tall, faceless, robed figures with floating masks and skeletal hands. They walked in silence. Only their glowing orbs moved, tracking his every breath. One of them whispered, Say the words again. Human, speak the tongue of gods. I don't know what I said, Ethan replied, angry and scared. Something came over me. The whisper came again, then let it come over you once more. Suddenly pain shot through his head. Images flashed behind his eyes. Stars, battles, a woman's face, symbol carved into a planet's surface, and a voice his own, but older. Command accepted. Path unlocked. Ethan gasped. When he opened his eyes, one of the glowing floor symbols had changed. The seers stepped back. One of them shivered. He carries the memory of a lost bloodline. Buried in his DNA, the seed of the Ark still lives. Outside the chamber, Zalara listened secretly. Her eyes widened as she realized Ethan was not just repeating the language. He was born with it. The elders feared him not because of what he might say, but because of what he might remember, because if the stories were true, the first ones were not aliens, they were humans, and Ethan might be the key to unlocking their return. Night fell fast in the Valley of Voices, but the jungle never became quiet. Strange glowing insects floated like stars. Shadows shifted even when the wind didn't blow. Zalara moved silently through the trees, her breath shallow. Behind her, Ethan struggled to keep up. His body ached from the hollow, his mind full of images he didn't understand, visions, ancient memories, and a name that echoed in his skull, Child of the Ark. What does that even mean? He whispered. As they hid behind a moss-covered boulder, Zalara looked back, her voice low. It means you are dangerous, and that your blood is not fully yours. Ethan blinked. I was born on Earth. My parents were scientists. She pointed upward to the dark mountain glowing faintly in the distance. Then explain why the gate. Mountain sings when you speak. Ethan followed her gaze. The mountain didn't just glow, pulse like it was breathing, and each pulse matched the rhythm of his heartbeat. They climbed through narrow paths only known to locals. Trees twisted unnaturally. Old statues, half buried and forgotten, stared from the undergrowth with cracked stone eyes. Ethan stopped in. In front of one of them, it had a human face. Is this a trick? He asked. Zalara shook her head. These statues were here before our tribes were born. My grandmother said they were gods. Now I'm starting to believe. They were your kind. But why would humans be here before humans even came to this world? Ethan muttered. Maybe you didn't come, she whispered. Maybe you left. At the mountain's base, they reached a sealed wall covered in roots and stone plates. In the center was a large symbol that glowed faintly, just like the ones from the ruin. Ethan stepped closer. Don't, Zalara warned. But the moment his hand touched the stone, the entire wall rumbled. The roots twisted away like they were alive. The stone parted, revealing a dark corridor lined with floating blue crystals. Warm air flowed out, scented with something ancient like dust and stars. Zalara stared. No one has opened this place for 1,000 years. Then I guess we just broke a few records, Ethan said, trying to sound calm. But his hands were shaking. They stepped inside. The corridor led to a huge circular chamber. Giant gears turned silently in the walls. On the floor was a smooth silver platform with carvings that resembled solar systems, DNA strands, and something terrifying, a fleet of ships, destroyed worlds. And at the center, a single human-like figure standing tall. I know this place, Ethan whispered, eyes wide. I've never been here, but I know it. Zalara watched him closely. What do you mean? Ethan placed his hand on one of the murals, and suddenly, a soft voice filled the chamber. Identity confirmed. Cross. Genetic match. 91% compatibility with Command Class Alpha. Initiating memory stream. A beam of light struck Ethan's chest. He gasped. The room vanished. In his mind, he saw a different time. Skies full of golden ships. Planets bending to a single empire ruled by humans who had learned to shape galaxies. Among them, a young commander. Looked just like Ethan was tasked with protecting the last Ark ship. As their civilization fell, he saw betrayal, fire, .A. Great escape. The Ark ship sent away with only fragments of its culture. To this world, Ethan collapsed to the floor, shaking. Lara caught him. What did you see? He looked at her, his voice hollow. We weren't the first to come here. We were the last to leave. Above them, a crystal console activated. The AI voice returned. Warning. Galactic beacon reactivated. Signal transmission in progress. Zalara's eyes widened. What did you do? I didn't mean to, Ethan began. Outside the mountain, in the dark sky. A red star blinked. To life, it wasn't a star. It was a ship, and it was answering the call. The mountain temple had gone silent. No wind, no sounds, just the echo of Ethan's breathing. He sat on the cold floor, staring at the crystal console, still glowing faintly. Beside him, Zalara looked at the red light blinking in the sky. Called something, she whispered. Something watching us from above. Ethan didn't answer. His mind was somewhere else. The vision still echoed in his head, golden ships, collapsing stars, and a face that looked exactly like his, only older. Darker and wearing armor like a god. I saw myself, he said slowly. Or maybe not me, but someone from long ago. He was like me, same face, same voice. But he commanded fleets. Zalara looked down at the carvings under their feet stars wore, and a single human silhouette that stood tall over everything. Then it's true, she whispered. Your blood is not just human. It's from the first ones. you carry there. Seed. Outside the temple, the jungle trembled. Not from footsteps, but from something older. Something awakening. Suddenly, Crystal Console spoke again. Jin match complete. Protocol 73 Alpha. Blood memory download enabled. Host must choose, accept, or reject genetic archive. Ethan froze. What does that mean? Zalara's face turned pale. They want to give you the knowledge of your bloodline. Everything your ancestors locked away. He took a deep breath. If I say yes, you may gain control, she said, or you may lose yourself. Ethan stared at the console. I accept. The crystal glowed bright white, and a beam shot straight into his chest. His body stiffened. Eyes rolled back, and then memories flooded him. But they weren't like dreams. They were real. He stood in another time. He wore armor with the same glowing symbols. He watched as alien leaders bowed before him. He saw himself holding a weapon made of living metal, saw cities built in a single night, planets moved like chess pieces. And then, betrayal and ally poisoned the system. The Empire fell, and only the Ark ship escaped with the knowledge. Sealed in DNA, waiting for someone worthy to awaken it, that someone was him. Ethan collapsed again, breathing hard, but this time when he looked up. His eyes glowed faintly with a silver light. I remember, he whispered. Zalara stepped back. Remember what? He looked at her not with fear, but with calm. Certainty. Who I was. Who I'm meant to be. Just then, a loud crashing sound echoed outside the temple. The sky darkened. From the clouds, something descended, a silver-black drop pod shaped like a spear. It hit the jungle with a deep quake. The red light in the sky dimmed. Zilara pulled her weapon. That ship wasn't ours. That's not from this world. Ethan stood, taller somehow, more stable. They followed the beacon, he said. The old enemy, they never stopped listening. Aladada turned toward him. What enemy? Aladada. He looked into the distance. The ones who destroyed my people. Ones who feared what humans could become. Suddenly, another pulse of energy came from the floor of the temple. A hidden platform rose from beneath their feet, revealing a sealed metal case. Inside was something wrapped in cloth and bone. Ethan unwrapped it slowly. A weapon. Elegant. Alien. But also human. It felt warm in his hands. Blade online, the console said. Welcome, Commander. The weapon's edge shimmered with light energy that responded to his pulse. Zalara stared in disbelief. That blade is forbidden. It was lost in the Great Sundering. Ethan smiled faintly. It wasn't lost. It was waiting. Jungle, the drop pod opened. A figure stepped out, not alien, not fully humana. Hybrid soldier in dark armor with empty eyes. Its voice came through the trees like static. Ethan Cross, you are claimed property of the Eternal Chain. Surrender. Or be deleted. Zalara whispered, That's a hunter drone. My tribe spoke of them. They come from the sky and leave nothing behind. Ethan stepped forward, gripping the arc blade. Let them come. I remember now. We don't run. We fight. As the trees burned with red fire and the jungle shook with the hunter's approach, Ethan's body glowed brighter. He was no longer just a human explorer. He was the last heir of a forgotten empire, and war was coming. The jungle near Gate Mountain burned slowly under red sparks falling from the sky. Smoke mixed with the glow of alien fire, and the sound of crashing branches echoed for miles. Zalara crouched low in the underbrush. Spear clutched in one hand, eyes focused on the dark shape moving between the trees. It's scanning the air, she whispered. Ethan stood behind her, the arc blade held tight. Its strange edge shimmered silently. His face was different, now not just alert, but confident, like someone who had fought in battles before. Drone is hunting me, he said calmly. But it'll kill anyone near me too. Then we run, she said. No, he replied. End it. With a single leap, Ethan rushed forward, dodging the pulse beam that cut through the forest. He moved with speed. He didn't know he had like muscle memory from another life. The drone turned, targeting him again, but the arc blade ignited with blue fire. with one clean strike. Ethan sliced off its head. The drone collapsed in pieces, metal hissing and sparking, but as the body twitched, it released a small beacon flashing red. Sent a signal, Zalara said grimly. More will come. They returned to the Skyshade village, hidden deep within a ring of cliffs. But this time Zalara didn't hide Ethan. She marched through the gates, blade in hand, dragging the drone's broken parts behind her. Villagers gasped and stepped back. Elders gathered quickly, alarmed at the sight. You dare return? After helping the outsider awaken the gate. I saved our border from a hunter drone, Zalara shouted back. Would you rather have waited until it found you?
Out!
The crowd murmured. Eyes shifted from her to Ethan, who stood tall but silent. The elder pointed a trembling finger at. Man carries forbidden fire. He must not live. He saved us, Zalara snapped. He carries our history, our hope.
Another voice,
colder and crueler, joined in. He is no savior. He is a weapon reborn. It was High Priest Varun, the oldest of the council, dressed in white bone armor. His face was scarred from an old war, and his eyes had no light in them, only judgment. The moment he touched the ruins, the sky changed, Varun said. And now the old enemy returns. He didn't cause the enemy, Zalara replied. He remembered them. He warned us. Varun ignored her, looked directly at Ethan. Tell me, human do. You hear the voices of the first ones? Ethan paused, then nodded. Yes, they whisper in my blood, and they are not pleased with how their memory is treated. The crowd gasped. Varun snarled. Then we will silence you before the stars hear your words again. He raised his hand. Guards rushed forward. Zalara stepped between them and Ethan. Holding her spear, if you want him, she said, you'll have to go through me. The guards hesitated. She was the daughter of a respected warrior, but Varun's shadow loomed large. Then you are a traitor too, he hissed. Both of you are exiled. Any who help them will share their fate. As the guards surrounded them, Ethan grabbed Zalara's arm. Run! They broke through the crowd as weapons clashed and villagers screamed. Not everyone chased them. Some just watched. Some looked unsure. One child even stepped forward and whispered, I heard the same voice in my dreams. But they had no time. They disappeared into the cliffs as fire arrows rained down behind them. They hid in an old cave hours later. Ethan tended to Zalaris. Bruised arm. Her breathing was calm, but her eyes were full of storm. They turned on me, she said bitterly. My people, my elders. You stood up for what was right, Ethan said gently. She looked at him, softer now, and I would do it again. For a moment there was silence between them. Then Ethan stood. We can't go back, but we don't need to. He placed a crystal taken from the temple into the cave floor. It glowed and projected a new map of path leading beyond the jungle, deep into the western mountains. There's another temple, he said. I saw it in the memory stream. The real Arc Core lies there. What's in it? She asked. Answers, and maybe the truth that could save both our peoples. Far above, in orbit, a shadow. Stretched across the stars, a fleet, unmarked, silent, but watching. A voice, inside one of their ships, whispered, The seed has awakened. The last Arcblood lives. Then burn the world before he remembers everything. Snow fell lightly across the rocky cliffs of the western mountains. The wind carried whispers, ancient broken voices that only Ethan could understand now. Zalara walked beside him, wrapped in a thick black cloak. Eyes scanned the sky, watching for silver lights that didn't belong to the stars. We're close, Ethan said softly, pressing his hand against a cracked wall. A symbol beneath the ice lit up, one only visible to him. A long path opened behind the rocks, glowing with pale blue lines. A deep hum filled the air, like a heartbeat coming from the ground itself. This is it, he whispered. The gate of the first ones. The chamber beyond the path was massive, carved into the mountain like a forgotten cathedral. Machines, older than nations, stood silently in corners. The floor was smooth silverstone, and at the center was a floating structure, an orb, wrapped in rings of hovering crystal. It pulsed once as Ethan stepped forward. Voice echoed. Welcome, Blood. Ethan reached out and touched the floating rings. The moment his fingers made contact,
Ow.
the orb began to spin. Images burst out in the air around him. Galactic wars. Human fleets battling shape-shifting enemies. Worlds consumed by black mist. But one world stood untouched. This one. The final safe house of the Arkborn. The screen focused on a ship buried underground, with an energy signature deeper than any mountain. A ship, ... that could shape fate. That's not a gate, Zalara whispered. That's a god machine. No, Ethan replied. That's our last ship. Suddenly the temple shook. A blast echoed through the mountains. Ethan turned to Zalara. They found us. The silver orb dimmed. Systems began sealing around them. Warning. Hostile fleet in orbit. Defense systems offline. Activate manual override. Ethan didn't hesitate. Yes. The floor opened. A platform rose, an ancient control console, covered in faded handprints. Each one belonged to a former Blood. Ethan placed his hand on the one that matched his palm. The room lit up with golden lines, and the mountain walls pulled apart, revealing a massive hidden ship fused with the rock. Its surface was smooth and glowing, designed to fly through stars or bury itself in planets. Ship designation: Arc-class Solstice. Reactivation in progress. Outside, the sky roared. 3 black ships pierced the clouds, descending like predators. They weren't alien like Zalara's people. They were the others. Species that once fought humans for control of the stars. No faces, just armor and hunger. For them, Ethan wasn't a person. He was a threat that needed erasing. Inside the ship, lights flickered as ancient power returned. Engine status: dormant, ... awakening, ... weapons, locked. DNA authorization required. Ethan turned to Zalara. I need you to stay here and protect the core. I'm not leaving you, she said firmly. The ship needs time to wake up. I just need to stall them. He touched his forehead to hers gently. If I don't make it, don't say that. She interrupted, but her eyes said what she couldn't. Outside the mountain, Ethan walked onto a stone platform, alone. He raised the arc blade as the first of the black-armored soldiers landed. The enemy leader stepped forward 7 feet tall, face hidden behind a smooth mask. You are the last? Ethan didn't answer, then die like the first. They charged, and the mountain shook with the fury of reborn war. Inside, Zalara placed her hand on the core's interface, didn't reject her. To her surprise, it welcomed. Her non-human guardian detected. Bond confirmed. She gasped. What are you doing? She asked the system. Preparing for dual pilot sequence. Harmony protocol initiated. Ethan's image appeared beside her, projected from the arc. He was still fighting. He cannot unlock full command alone, the voice said. But with you, the arc lives. Again. Zalara closed her eyes and whispered an oath in her language. Then she touched the final control crystal. Outside, Ethan was nearly surrounded. The arc blade was chipped, his arms bleeding, but just as the enemy leader raised a blade to strike, a massive beam of light shot from the mountain, vaporizing one of the black ships in orbit. The ground rumbled, and from deep inside the cliffs, mountains split open. The ancient ship, the Solstice, rose into the sky. Its engines glowing with white-hot light. At its core stood 2 figures. Ethan and Zalara side by side, piloting the ship with thought and memory. The enemies looked up in horror. The arc blood has returned, and the stars trembled. The sky was on fire. The Arc-class Solstice hovered above the valley like a silver god awakened from stone and silence. Its hull glowed with ancient power. Its hum sang through the mountains like a forgotten hymn below. The black-armored invaders fled. Some tried to hide, some tried to fight, but the Ark didn't fire in hatred. It judged, and it erased. Inside the ship's bridge, Ethan stood with his hands on the core, eyes glowing silver, veins pulsing with ancestral energy. At his side, Zalara was still, focused, her hands resting on the second control node. They were connected now, two souls, guiding a ship that had waited thousands of years for them. Target cleared, the Ark said, awaiting next command. Ethan, breathe deeply. No more killing. Show them our strength, not our vengeance. Solara turned to him slowly. You're not like the legends. Maybe the legends were wrong, he said, down below in the Skyshade tribal city. Panic had turned to awe. The villagers who once wanted Ethan dead now stared at the sky with open mouths. Elders dropped their staffs. Children pointed and whispered, Is that our God returning? No one spoke louder than High Priest Varun, who fell to his knees, tears pouring from his dark eyes. It cannot be. The Ark still flies. As the solstice descended slowly toward the ground, a stairway of light extended from its base. Ethan and Solara stepped down side by side toward the tribe that had once hunted them. They did not speak. The ship did it for them. Its voice echoed across the valley. You have forgotten the truth, but truth never forgets you. The bloodline of the Ark lives. The villagers slowly gathered in the clearing. No one moved, until Solara stepped forward. She looked to her former tribe, the people who turned their backs on her, who cast her out for helping a human. She didn't smile. She simply spoke. You feared him, you feared what he carries, but now you've seen what he is, what we both are. She removed her armor and dropped her weapon on the ground. If you still believe I betrayed you, strike me down. No one moved. Instead, the youngest warrior, a boy not older than 16, dropped his own spear and knelt. You were right, you protected us, when our leaders did not. One by one, others followed, even Varun. He tried to speak, but only tears came out as he lowered his head to the soil. Forgive me, he whispered. Zalara's voice was quiet. Not me. Forgive yourselves. Ethan stood behind her, watching the scene unfold. Didn't feel like victory. It felt like the beginning of something larger. He looked up at the solstice above. Its systems now fully online. The Ark had awakened, and it was ready. The stars remember, the ship said softly. In his mind, others will hear our signal. Let them come, Ethan replied. This time, we're not running. That night, a great fire was lit in the center of the valley. Songs were sung in both languages, alien and ancient human. Woven together like vines into one chorus, children touched the ship with wide eyes. Elders asked questions no one had dared speak in generations, and in a quiet corner near the crystal pools, Ethan and Solara sat together. She leaned against his shoulder. What happens now? She asked. Ethan looked into the stars. Now we rebuild, and then we go find the rest of them. The rest of who? He smiled faintly. My people, or what's left of them. Somewhere out there, others might have survived. The stars are big and memory runs deep. Solara took his hand in hers. Then I'll go with you. Far above, at the edge of known space, the last red signal blinked, and in a distant place, beyond nebula and time, something stirred in reply. A voice older than empires whispered in a dead language. The bloodline is active. Phase 2 begins. But this time, humanity was ready.